Hello, everyone. Welcome to our lawyer interviews video. In this video, we are talking about a hot legal topic, and we have a special guest who will help us break it down. Today, we will be discussing Andrew Tate's arrest, and our guest is the Romanian lawyer, Stefan Loredan. Stefan will help us break down some interesting information about this legal case. First of all, thank you, Stefan, for doing this.
Anytime. I'm excited to do this interview with you guys.
Perfect. And I will begin by presenting some of the facts regarding Andrew Tate's arrest, which you previously covered in one of your videos, following which I will ask you some questions so our viewers can better understand what is going on with this case. So a couple days ago, as you know, Andrew Tate got arrested along with his brother, Tristan Tate, for charges related to rape, human trafficking, and the establishment of an organized criminal group. As you mentioned in your video, the investigation related to this case dated back to April 2020, after which a woman made a complaint to the authorities that she was being detained against her will in the Tate residence. However, the evidence was not conclusive. Months later, the Tate brothers were successfully tracked and brought in front of a judge, where the prosecutor made a request to the court in order for the suspects to be detained for 30 days. This request was approved, and now the Tate brothers will be under arrest for 30 days. Now, you posted a video regarding this topic, and you mentioned that the prosecutor in this case was one of the toughest prosecutors in Romania, well known for leading the biggest and the most famous cases against anti-mafia. Can you tell us more about this prosecutor?
Sure. So unlucky for the Tate brothers, they are dealing with one of the toughest prosecutors, just like you mentioned before. He has led in the past and successfully concluded some of the biggest cases anti-mafia, right, in Romania. One of which, for example, is against the biggest drug lord, and the second one, which, by the way, he was also facing charges for like 4 murders on top of the drug dealings that he has been doing on the Romania. And the second case, which is I assume internationally known, it's called Collective, and it's about a nightclub that burned down and unfortunately led to like over, I think, 60 something people dead and over 180 people wounded. But you could say that he has nothing to lose in this situation, and I would say that because he has 24/7 security assured by the special forces, because based on his experience, he has received a lot of death threats in the past, and this tells me that he's going to go all in on this case. So there's no question about him being corrupt or any question about him being potentially bribed or something like that. I would say that they're going to have a tough time. The Tate brothers are going to have a tough time with this prosecutor.
And so I'm assuming the security, that's what makes him more powerful. The fact that he's safe.
Plus, he's a chief prosecutor. He's not a simple prosecutor, right? Like, he's the boss of the organization that he's leading. So,
and my next point is, does the presumption of innocence apply to this case? And if so, why did the judge decide to keep the Tate brothers under arrest for 30 days?
Yeah, it's a good question. So they are innocent until proven guilty. All right. Now, the judge decided to rule on to the security measure, because that's a security measure. The arrest for 30 days is just a security measure for 2 main reasons. First of all, so they don't flee the country, because they were very vocal about having different passports and having citizenship in different countries. And so one of the biggest risks in this case and for this investigation was them being set free and flee the country and getting refuge in a country where they don't have extradition treaties with Romania, right? So that's one of the reasons. The second reason is so that they don't intervene and don't influence the witnesses and their statements, right? Because being that they are powerful people, they have a lot of influence, a lot of money, they can easily influence the statements of the witnesses and the other parts involved in the project. So it's all about, making sure that the investigation goes the right way and there's no impediment to it.
Okay, and was there a bail option in this case? Why or why not?
No, there was no bail option in this case. We do have in Romania and the legal system bail options, but for other types of crimes, I would say, right? When it comes to crimes that that are made with intention, the law says very clearly that the bail is not an option. In this case, we have obviously charges for rape, for human trafficking, and for establishment of a criminal organized group, which all of them have intentions behind them. So that's one of the reasons. Now, the second reason will be the fact that I would say like the punishment, if they are found guilty, will be between 5 to 10 years for each crime, right? And the law states again that if the crimes you are facing charges for have a punishment of over 5 years, then again the bail is not an option for you. So there are two incidents that make this case not being available a bail for.
Okay, that's interesting. So now let's skip forward to, let's say we're in trial. So in your opinion, how much time could this trial potentially last?
Well, it always depends, because they are facing right now 3 charges, right? But along the line, if they are sent to trial, some other charges can come, like money laundering, like I don't know, like any other thing, right? And in my opinion, this can take anywhere from 1 to 3 years, and it's mainly because I assume that they are not going to recognize the crimes that they're making. You see, the law in Romania has like a simplified version of a trial, but it implies that the suspects have to recognize the crimes that they're making, right? And so the process will be easier and it will take a shorter period of time. But assuming, again, given by the fact that they didn't give any statement and they didn't want to discuss anything once they faced with the prosecutor in this stage of the investigation, I assume they won't want to recognize the crimes, because they state very clearly that they are not they didn't commit any of it.
And so would that mean that the Tate brothers will stay under arrest during that period?
No. So the fact that the trial will go on for 1 to 3 years does not mean that they're going to stay under arrest for so long. Right now, they are under arrest for 30 days, which, by the way, their lawyers already appealed the decision. We are expecting on January 5th a decision on that, which will be tomorrow, because when we are recording this, it's January 4th. Okay, so, but after this, my prediction is that it's going to be denied. But after this 30 days period is finished, I would say that they are going to be set free. But the prosecutor can propose to the judge to extend this 30 days period with another 30 days, and then another 30 days, and then another 30 days, up to 180 days in total. So that's 6 months in total, right? Now, it's unusual that this happens, right? And the prosecutor would have to come with further evidence in that case to show the judge that, hey, if we let these guys out right now after these 30 days, then it will be we could get into troubles and it could affect the investigation. So that's what is going to happen.
And so you mentioned that you predict that such an appeal will be denied. Why do you think so?
Well, I think it is going to be denied because they wouldn't give in the first case, it was only one judge, right, that decided to keep them for 30 days under arrest. Now, since they appealed, there will be 2 judges, right? But we have to understand the fact that the prosecutor, given that he has so much experience and he's so well known, right, he wouldn't put his image and he wouldn't go and try to arrest them without having clear evidence, right? And also the judge wouldn't give this 30 days arrest in the first instance if it wasn't enough evidence. And so now the most likely outcome would be that their appeal will be denied. So they will be kept under arrest for 30 days.
So let's say we go to trial and the prosecutor is successful in establishing the evidence and the case. How much prison time do you think the Tate brothers could face if they get charged and convicted?
So right now they are facing 3 charges for the rape and for the human trafficking. For each one of it, they can face between 5 to 10 years in prison. Now, for the third one, which is the establishment of a criminal group, they can face between 1 or 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if you accumulate all of it together, and assuming that they're going to be found guilty for all the charges, they can face anywhere between 10 to 20 years in prison.
Oh, that's interesting. And as we know so far, their assets have been seized. So why did the authorities seize the cars and the villa?
So this is another security measure. They want to determine right now if the cars and the villa were bought with money generated from the crimes that they've committed, right? So that's one of the reasons, I would say. So they seized like 11 cars that they had in Romania, plus the villa that they had in Piper, I think, in Bucharest. Yeah.
And do you have a breakdown of the value of the seized assets?
Well, it's funny because the prosecutor has the obligation to put a value on all of this, to value them. First of all, he needs to identify the assets, and then he needs to put a value on them. But they are not doing a great job when it comes to that, right? For example, all his 11 cars and the villa plus the villa have been valued at around $5 million. Now you could argue, and me being a car guy, I could say right away that only the Bugatti is worth at least $5-6 million, right? But they don't know this. Like police usually, and the people that are doing this investigation, they are just searching on Google. They are putting the MSRP price, the resale price that they see, so they don't consider the market price usually onto this, right? Or they are taking the cheapest option. For example, for a Bugatti, there are variants that start from 3 million up to 6-7 million, right? And they will take like the cheapest one always. That's how they do it.
So we know that Romania in some international circles has a reputation for being corrupt. Generally speaking, how would you compare the Romanian legal system to some other Western European countries?
Well, you know, the Romanian legal system is actually the same as the French legal system. It's basically took from them back in 20, 30 years ago when it was established, or how many years, I don't know exactly the number. But it has been modified, but it's the same legal system. Now, I wouldn't say that the legal system is corrupt. Yes, you can influence it. Yes, you can bend it maybe, but when it comes to smaller cases, when it comes to high sophisticated investigations like this one, when there are a lot of eyeballs on the case, like an international level, right? There's no question about somebody being bribed or somebody trying to influence the case from outside. I have no doubt about it. And I could give you like an example. A few years ago, one of the biggest mafia bosses in Romania, and by the way, that's a politician. So it's a politician. It's not like a criminal or something, okay? He was put in jail for a few years, right? And you have to understand, that guy was at the power, and he was actually changing the laws so the laws can favor him. That was how sophisticated he was, right? And he ended up in jail anyway. So that's what my point, I guess my point is that I would say that Romania, yes, is corrupt when it comes to the political system. But when it comes to the legal system, there's no question about it. I don't think it's corrupt at all.
So my last question is, could you also make a comparison between Romanian prisons and prisons in some other more developed European countries?
Yeah, I could make a comparison with Norway, for example, because I have a friend over there, and he was telling me about this, and I also did some research on the internet. Well, first of all, the prisons in Romania, they are overcrowded. The occupation percentage is like 150%, 140%. That's 40-50% more than what it should be, right? The conditions are miserable, like old furniture, low quality food. Is the worst place where you could find yourself, in my opinion, right? Compared to Norway, where they have like, it looks like a 4-star hotel or something like that. They even give you PlayStation to play. It's like you don't feel like you are in prison. You just can't leave the environment, right? But then you don't feel like you are being restricted a lot of things. I will also make a video on my YouTube channel very soon about the prison conditions in Romania, because I think it's a subject of interest. Now, we need to also understand the fact that they are not in the prison right now. There's a center of detainment that they're being held on. And the police of the capital police, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
And in your opinion, what do you think will take to improve the prison conditions in Romania?
I don't know the exact reason why they don't want to improve it. Maybe there's no compassion towards the inmates, I would say, right? Because there's clearly a lot of funds that are coming from the European Union in different ways. Like there's funds that can be accessed for anything, for hospitals, for churches, even for prisons, right? But I think there's no genuine interest towards making a better life for inmates, because I feel like the Romanian people, especially, they're seeing inmates as bad people, right? As the villains, all of them, and they don't want to deal with them, and they don't want to give the second chance, if that makes sense.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. I'm pretty sure the viewers have appreciated just more information about this case. I know it's been a hot topic on social media. And for those who are watching, please don't hesitate to leave your comments below and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you next time.
Bye-bye.